I'm continuously invited to renew my membership in this very specific way of being a man, of showing other men how straight I am and how tough I am. One day I walked out of work and didn't know how to get to my destination. I asked a postal worker on the street for directions. He replied, "The best way to get there is to walk down Yonge Street, because there's a lot of hot chicks to look at." In one of my first workshops for the White Ribbon Campaign, I was asking the group to tell me examples of how they learned what it means to be a man. A young man, around 14 years old, spoke up and said that when he was 4 years old, his dad told him he was no longer allowed to cry. When he got upset after that, he told people that his eyes were leaking. It reminded me of myself at 14, when I decided my theme song was "I am a rock, I am an island," because a rock feels no pain and an island never cries. One of my first girlfriends was sexually assaulted, and that incident changed something inside of me. I tried to listen to her with all of my heart to help her through the pain and damage she was experiencing. The violence she experienced opened me up to a world I never knew existed, and I wanted to change that reality. I'm tired of being told that in order to be a real man, I have to close my heart, never cry, dominate other people, and disrespect women. I talk with boys and young men about struggling with what society tells them to be, or becoming the kind of men their hearts want to be. I can see them start to question themselves. Last year, I took 7 months of parental leave to look after my son. I was fortunate to have learned that being a man can mean being nurturing, caring, gentle, and soft. Every day, my son's existence challenges me to think about what kind of man I am and what kind of human he sees when he looks at me. When the world tells him what kind of man he's supposed to be, I want him to be ready to answer with his heart.
What if it was your mother? What if it was your sister? I have been, and always will be, a mama's boy. The first few years of my life, I was raised primarily by my mother. She did everything she could to provide for myself and my brother. My father brought our family to Canada for a better life. My father was the man. They call him Tony Montana or Vito Corleone. I admired his power and the respect he garnered from those around him. Being the man that he was, he would never need to hit my mother. Just the act of him raising his hands was enough to generate fear in us all. Growing up, I became a bad boy, wanting to have that power. My mother was my hero, but I wanted to be like my father. The week I got my first tattoo, I became very ill. And during that time, my mom was always by my side. She was tending to me and saw my tattoo. She was upset and began nagging me, and I raised my hands towards her. At that moment, I knew I had broken my mother's heart. I saw my father in myself and didn't want to be that man anymore. The strength of my mother was stronger than anything he had. I want to be the man that would always be there for my mother, just like she was for us. My mother was diagnosed with cancer, and even through her illness, she was the strongest out of all of us. Because she was sick, I was very sensitive, and when one day this guy said some bad things about her, I got into a fight with him. I ended up getting in trouble with the law for it. My mother told me, "You think you're protecting me, but you're hurting yourself." I knew I'd crushed her again. I served some time, and during that time, my mom became really ill, and I was informed she was close to death. I knew she was hanging on just to see me again. When I got out, my mother was the first one to greet me at the gates. She hugged and kissed me and said, "Never again." What if it was your mother? What if it was your sister? These questions I often ask my youth when we talk about healthy relationships and violence. What if it was your mother?
In 2007, my family immigrated to Toronto as the skilled immigrants. We lost all our relatives, friends, connections, as well as all our previous achievements in China. We are bewildered how to start a new life in Canada. But no sooner than we arrived in Toronto, my father-in-law got a serious traffic accident in China and was hospitalized. And in his family, there was no male could take care of him. I had to go back to China to take care of him. The problem is my wife's English is very poor and my son is only 15 years old. She felt so frustrated at that time, but one day she met a settlement worker who could speak Mandarin in the library. She was so caring and guided my wife how to obtain a health card, social insurance card, and the job search information. Later, she met another social worker in a nearby school. She even used her own time to accompany my wife to go fill out the government forms. She also gave counseling to my wife while she was depressed. We were so deeply moved since all the services are free and have no additional requirements. When I arrived in China, I helped my father-in-law to transfer several hospitals to get treatment. On the surface, it seems there was no damage to his eye, but he actually lost his eyesight. We spent a lot of money to check out the reasons why he lost his eyesight, but failed. Day and night, I helped my father-in-law to get meals, go to washrooms, take baths, and support him to access work in hospital corridor. I was so tired. I felt sleep during the daytime. I was so worried and wondered how my wife started her life in Toronto. After 7 months, my father-in-law was discharged from hospital, so I was able to go back to Toronto. To my surprise, my wife already got a job and found a nice apartment to live in, and my son was enrolled in a good high school nearby my home. My wife passed on to me the information she got from the social workers. She helped me to adapt my new life in Toronto.
I have been here for 5 years. When I came to this country, I was very excited because I will start a new life with my husband. But soon after, I was upset because I was in my country a productive person. But here there were too many challenges.
I was a regular participant of the Early Years program since 2006. I was a teacher back home, having lots of love and attention towards kids. My older kids were about to start school, so there is a question mark in front of me, what I'm going to do in my free time.
All my life I worked with customer service and in the retail field. Work was my priority. I had older children, but this time around, I wanted it to be different. I wanted to enjoy it to the max.
I did needs assessment, and many women had parenting skills and wanted some income to support their families. Childminding was an excellent option for women as they could take care of their own children as well as the children in the community.
Before the program, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a very busy life and then my life stopped. I thought I never going to be the woman I was. I didn't think I had the capacity to learn. I was destroyed inside. Going to that program, I was trying to do something for myself.
The childminding program found me, or we found each other at a perfect time, like at a crossroads. When I made the decision to take care of my grandson for a year, it was because I had anxieties about placing him in childcare. This was heaven sent, as I was not sure I still had the skills and know-how of parenting after 25 years.
In the program, women learn about child development, behavior guidance, special needs, child abuse, common illnesses, nutrition, employment readiness, and so on. We want to enhance their confidence in parenting and to open the door for not only childminding, but other options too.
Exams really scare me. It was pretty in-depth, the food handlers test, You had to know about heat and degrees, and you had to remember facts about Canadian food safety. It was a challenge for my brain. I went from being a grandmother to being a student. Not only that, my sister was sick with cancer, and I had a lot on my plate. But I wanted to succeed. I wanted to graduate. When I passed, it renewed my belief that if you focus, you can accomplish whatever you want.
Before I attended this course, I was cooking in the kitchen. My son was 1 year and a half. I left the window open, but not wide open. Suddenly, I looked, and he was there, his legs dangling out the window. I found a book that he liked, and I told him, "You want this book?" He turned to me to reach it, and then I grabbed him to pull him back in. During the child safety lesson, I told my story, and the facilitator told me, "There is a latch on your window." It was so simple, but I didn't know. I learned many other kinds of safety that I didn't know about.
We are a big group, a lot of women from all different countries. When I open up about what happened to me, then other women start to share too. The class was a therapy for everybody. Each week, I saw improvement in my body and my mind. Childminding is part of my story of healing from cancer.
Once women have completed the program, they are on the road of success. Some of the women went to school to do early childhood education, some started their own home daycares, and many work as childminders in different organizations.
I applied for the peer outreach worker placement. They know me here because I did the childminding program at the same place. As a peer outreach worker, I take all of what they are offering in the community center to parents and people in the community.
With my child minding certificate, I am able to work and not miss out in my child's day-to-day life. Right now, I'm working at the Stop Community Center and with Macaulay Child Development Center.
As I learned these new skills, it gave me the confidence to trust other childminders with my own grandson. I'm planning right now to open a home daycare. I hope to incorporate the skills and knowledge I learned to help alleviate those fears in others.
But it's more than just work or education. We see the change in women's self-confidence through their achievements. In our program, women find a sense of belonging.
I experienced a surge of energy because I was able to learn new skills and also participate with other women.
I have a totally different view of parenting. 100% more communication. I think now it's easier for all my family to express our feelings in a calm environment without getting heated.
I was thinking to go back to my country. This program really helped me to stay here. I felt I could integrate into this society. It made me feel welcome, and it changed my life.
This was my first diploma in all my life. I feel thankful to learn and to have this opportunity that I always wanted, but never had. God gave me another chance.
Growing up, I had a very big extended family. They drove me crazy because as a girl, the only things they would talk about are boys, babies, and marriage. When I would say, I'm never getting married, I never want children, they would always reply, you'll change your mind when you grow up, when you find the right guy. When I was 14, I had accepted that I was gay. At one point, a friend of mine told me never to let it get out, even as a rumor, or I would likely be beaten to death. So I learned to keep my head down and my mouth shut. I thought I was a lesbian, therefore there was no way I was ever getting married. According to everything I'd ever seen on TV or read, lesbian relationships never end happily ever after. When I was 16, my brother and sister had gone to Europe. I was really depressed. I had been going to a counselor and things were getting better, but I still had a lot of social anxiety, and I thought, if I go to Europe, I'd have to stay in hostels, and then I'd have to meet people. I told my mother, and she thought it was a great idea. She insisted I take self-defense before I did any traveling on my own. Wendo was the first safe space I had. It was very powerful because we were all standing in a circle. The instructor said, every time I ask you a question, I want you to yell, I am, and smash your fist through anyone who tells you differently. She roared, who's the boss of your body? Our hands were curled up into tight, tight fists. We were all yelling so loudly. It was the first time anyone had told me, you are the boss of you, and meant it. It's been a slow process, but I am a lot stronger and a lot more aware of who I am. I am training to be a Wendo instructor so I can teach girls and women that they have choices. Maybe I will get married, maybe I won't. But whatever happens, it will be because I choose it.
I've always believed in the importance of respecting, appreciating, and caring for the environment.
We are responsible for these amazing plants, animals, and ecosystems, and it's our duty to make sure they stay here for future generations. My passion for conservation, however, lived somewhat in the theoretical. Spending time and learning about nature was a way to promote conservation and being a good environmental citizen. Then I had my son. I love him tremendously, but what I recognize now is that after he was born, I suffered from postpartum depression. This manifested itself in an unending, unrelenting anxiety. Was I doing the best for him? Was I enriching his life? Could I be doing better? One stiflingly hot day, alone and without my amazing support system, I found the walls closing in. I packed us up and headed outside. Instead of thinking of what I was supposed to do, I was just doing. Hikes and walks through nature was where I found a moment to breathe and just enjoy myself and my son. We found each other out there. This is my story. Spending time in nature brings something different to each person. Working with the team at the Hyde Park Nature Center, we connect people to nature through learning and exploration. Nature clubs, family hikes, and conservation events connect people to the amazing nature we have right here in the city. I truly believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to discover how they can help nature, and, like me, they might discover how nature can help them.